afternoon for all. So it's great to have you all at here. And today we are proudly invited the lecturers from the Center for Foundation Study, Gamba campus, to have the sharing with us. Before we start the sharing, let me introduce you the lecturers, the background of the lecturers. Okay, Mr. Naveen is the lecturers from the Center for Foundation Study, Canberra campus, and he's today's VIP. You can see that for the background, he's graduated the Bachelor of Economics at the UUM and the Master in Economics at the UUM as well. So today he will have the sharing with us. After the sharing, we will have the Q&A sessions. So if you have any doubts or you have anything to need to ask, you can just drop the questions at the Q&A box. So let us invite Mr. Naveen to start the talk for us. Mr. Naveen.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay, shall we start?
Yeah, you can start to share your slide.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tom. Is it Mr. Tom? Shall we start, Mr. Tom?
Yes, you can start it.
Okay, can you view my slides here?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you. Good day and good evening to all. Welcome back. Okay. Today we will discuss one of the topic or ongoing topics for this COVID-19 pandemic. Today we will discuss on the changing global economic landscape from this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. Before that, thank you to this Department of Program Promotions in Utah for this golden opportunity. Okay, for today discussion, okay, I give you here some of the short summary. The COVID-19 pandemic is unprecedented on its global reach and impact, posing formidable challenges to the global economic landscape and to the empirical analysis to the direct and indirect effects within the interconnected global economy. This discussion today will quantify the changes in the global economic landscape of this COVID-19 pandemic in several dimensions. This pandemic COVID-19 has resulted in political, economic, social, and cultural shift that changed the global economic landscape, with no country escaping its impact regardless of their mitigation strategy. Or to be very simple, we can say that because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we can say that the total impact are too early to analyze, but we will discuss so far the economic impact and the changes that occurred in economic landscape from this impact of COVID-19 for the past 1 year. Okay. Okay, the next slide, okay, I give you some visual, okay, how this COVID-19, this virus spreading in the year 2020. Until yesterday, 7 Jan 2021, we are recorded about 85 million, almost 86 million confirmed cases, whereby it include about 1.8 million of the death. This one is reported by the WHO, World Health Organization. We also can view from this particular visual saying that the spreading of the virus, okay, in huge transmission, especially after the October 2020. Okay, and we are expected, okay, this virus will go in more in high range spreading in the year 2021. And also we need to develop some of the contingency plans to overcome or to tackle this particular pandemic in the year 2021. Okay, the next particular visual also I show to you some of the history of the pandemic that we are facing in the past globally. Okay, here I will tell you the highest three. Okay, for your reference. Okay, so far, okay, in terms of this history of pandemic, in terms of the death rate, okay, or highest death rate we are recorded for this Spanish flu. So far, we recorded about 50 millions of the death. Okay, starting from 1917 because of this Spanish flu. Follow with the second one in terms of the death rate will be this AIDS. Okay, AIDS is an ongoing pandemic until today. Started in the year 1981. So far, we recorded about nearly 30 millions of the death because of this particular pandemic. And the third one, is a remarkable disease or virus. Okay, as we know, it's a COVID-19. Okay, until yesterday, okay, as I mentioned to you earlier, our death rates about already reaching about 1.9 million. 1.9 million because of this particular pandemic. That means so far, that means the Spanish flu, AIDS, and COVID-19, okay, are the remarkable pandemics so far that we are recorded in our global pandemic history. Okay, the next particular slide also I show to you, okay, in terms of the vaccine development for the a few pandemics that I listed to you in the previous slide, whereby you can see that as I mentioned to you previously, our Spanish flu is about the death rate is about 50 million, but the vaccine has been developed in the year 1942 after 25 years of pandemic. The second one is AIDS, with the death rates ongoing about 35 million. But in terms of the vaccine development until today, we are still developing, the appropriate vaccine for this particular disease. Okay, that means that this particular AIDS, this is still an ongoing disease. Okay, even though after 39 years. And for sure, it's a coronavirus that born in the year 2019. It's about 11 months. Okay, with us this pandemics, the death rate is about 1.8 million, as I mentioned to you just now. But okay, we are in the stage of redevelop the vaccine, and for sure in the year this year we will do some what we call vaccine development stage, and then we will see how this particular vaccine will effective to this human to stop this spreading of this virus, this COVID-19. Okay, with that, I think from this slide onwards, I will show you some of the changes that occurred in our this economic landscape because of this COVID-19. Today, I will share with you about 8 economic challenges, okay, or the 8 economic changes in economic landscape because of this COVID-19. We start with a discussion number 1. The first huge changes in this economic are the appearance of this World War III. Okay, You see, with the world on its knee before the deadly coronavirus or COVID-19 outbreak, China actually visually launched World War III through its financial might to topple the global power like United States and other European countries. That means in the previous one of the tactic or the method by the China, they will try to topple some of the developed countries by using their financial method and a financial method. And these powerful countries are struggling to contain a coronavirus, and China is making full use of mayhem across the world and is implement its strategy for the World War III. That means China used coronavirus as one of the platform for them to topple some of the superpowers countries or the developed countries like United States and European countries. Okay, China currently bounced back very quickly from this particular COVID-19, even though this disease originally came and born in China. But compare other countries, China very quickly recovered from this impact from this COVID-19 and grew by 2% in positive in the year 2020. It's one of the very positive impact to the global market, recorded by this China. But we expect that China will become the upper income economy in the 5 years time from this year, from the last year 2020. And we expect that China will overtake United States as the world's biggest economy by 2028. That means, in conclusion, coronavirus given China its opportunity to overtake United States as the biggest economy or the superpower in terms of economy, in our history. Okay, that one is discussion number one. We will go for the items number two in terms of changes in this economic landscape. Okay, we call it as a robotic versus the labor market. A shortage of skilled labor is driving the future use of industrial robots and service robots. Manufacturers are turning to decrease the manufacturing costs and to keep their cost advantage in the market. Automation in the electronics industry present an excellent growth opportunity for industrial robots and service robots in the coming years, especially where the manufacturers are looking to automate their production process further. You see, manufacturers are expected to increase in-house manufacturing through the usage of automation rather than outsource manufacture to other countries to mitigate global supply chain risk in the future. That means we can say that, in conclusion, we can say that due to this pandemic of coronavirus or the COVID-19, the manufacturers are turned their production tactic from the human labor force to the industrial and service robots. Now the manufacturers are in the eye to develop or to spend more on R&D to develop the industrial robots and service robots. These industrial robots and service robots are expected to take over the human workforce or the human labor participations in the production activities in the future. When the robots and the industrial robots and the service robot took place in the production, this phenomena will give the huge impact to the labor force in reality. Therefore, the coronavirus has given some of the new platform to the manufacturers to explore their production method from the use of the labor force to the industrial robots and the service robots. But most of the manufacturers, especially the top 25 manufacturers, they are in the process of develop and spend their huge amount of investment to develop their industrial robots and service robots in their production activities. Okay, this one is discussion number two for this changing in the landscape because of the coronavirus pandemic. We go for the items number 3. The coronavirus pandemic gave the bigger debt and also the increase in inequality. Before we go for these tax, okay, I want to show to you some of the huge increase in our global debt, especially from the year 2019 until 2020. From this particular chart, we can see that the global debt are increasing, but the increasing rate are in the smaller amount, especially from the year 2013 until 2013 until 2018. The increasing are in the minimal. But when we see, especially after the 2019, the world global debt are hugely increased, okay, in the market. This one is one of the negative impact, okay, to the global market. You see, even before the pandemic of this coronavirus, many countries were experiencing rapid inequality and increasing in debt. That means inequality and increasing in debt is already born before the coronavirus. As the coronavirus crisis eases, these two tendencies could combine to present a problem for the global economy. That means our previous issues, inequality and increasing in debt, plus together with this coronavirus, bring to the more negative issues or problems in our current economic situation. You see the point number 2, global debt increased by 27 trillion US dollar. It's a huge amount to a record, to the up to the 277 trillion in the year 2020. That means our global debt currently recorded, about 277 trillion in the year 2020. Especially this particular debt increased by 227 trillion only in the year 2020. This amount actually is equivalent about 365% of the world output, or the ratio 1 to 3.6. That means we spend more, or we spend more, about 3.6% more than compared to our income. To be very simple, we can say that, let's say if your income is about 1,000, but your expenditure is about 3,600. This particular amount, the 3.6 versus 1, is considered in the critical situation now in market, whereby people and the government are spending more compared to their income. Debt, came from all the sectors, ranging from household to the government to the corporate bond. Actually it's a curve keep search increasing. The inequality also increased in market globally, both within or across the countries. Even though within the countries, across the countries, between the different countries, the inequality is also increased. For information, inequality is referring to the unequal distributions of the income and opportunity between the different group of societies in the country. This one also we can cross in the Malaysian market, whereby our inequalities also keep increasing, in the past years. While the rich country blow their citizens with a massive amount of government aid, but the poorer nation have been unable to do that. Some of the rich countries, they are developed, they're able to help their citizens with their massive fiscal development. But the question is, the poorest countries or the developed countries, the lesser developed countries, is unable to do that. For your information, the world 46 least developed nation, that means about 46 least developed nation, they only spend about 255 billion, 254 billion American dollar to develop their people. Out of 12.7 trillion in this public stimulus spending are spent in globally. That means, okay, the least developed countries or the poorer nation, they only do, okay, they spend about 2% from our this 12.7 trillion in this public stimulus spending in overall market. This one, at the end, we can conclude that the coronavirus will give the huge impact, okay, extremely a huge impact, especially to the poorer nation. The poorer nations, okay, will have some, they must have some contingency plan, okay, to tackle these pandemics, especially in long run. Okay, we go for the items number 4. The global best and the worst performing sectors, okay, in 2020 during this coronavirus pandemic. Okay, I list for you about 10, 5 winners and the 5 losers during 2020 COVID-19 pandemics era. Okay, we started with those people are better off. Okay, for sure, number 1, for this pandemic, the software applicants, okay, applications, internet retail, basic materials, okay, freight and logistics and semiconductors are the better off, are the winners during this pandemic, especially the software applications and okay, internet retail play the important role during this pandemic of COVID-19. At the same time, they also have the about 5 major sectors that impact because of this pandemic, like oil and gas, including Malaysia, diversify bankers, real estate and retails, airlines, okay, aerospace and defense. These are the 5 loser or the worst off, okay, the sectors, okay, performing in the year, okay, 2020. But in the conclusion, we can see that, okay, globally, about 60% of the sectors are affected negatively because of this pandemic. And about this 40% of the sectors, they are the winners or the better off during this particular pandemic of this COVID-19. Okay, we go for the item number 5, the rise of mobile gaming. This one is very close related for maybe some of you. Okay, you see, gaming is now the world favorite form of entertainment. We can't believe it. This one occurred in the year 2020. As the gaming industry is occupied, okay, their revenue about $165 billion, generated more revenue last year compared to the television. The television revenue is down by 8%. It's very surprising. Okay, movies and music 8. Okay, that means in total about, okay, from the 270 billion of the entertainment revenue, the gaming industry occupied about 165 billion revenue in dollar. The gaming being the biggest earning media sector, with estimates about 165 billion generated in 2020. One reason that the mobile is far and aware the largest segment of the gaming market. Yeah, during this pandemic, the mobile gaming has grown as well. Okay, at an estimate of 85 billion sales generated from mobile gaming, this mobile gaming is account more than 50% of revenue from the gaming, okay, industries in the year 2020. That means the gaming industries is one of the top revenue industries, and more people are, okay, participate in this particular mobile gaming nowadays. Okay, look at the first next point. With the proliferations of a smartphone, the development, the huge development and evaluations of the smartphone, social media, games, and streaming services, they are on the right track. Okay, currently there are 2.7 billion gamers worldwide in the year 2020. This one according to the Forbes, okay, a record. Suddenly we have about 2.7 billion of gamers. It's a very surprising record that we are recorded during this COVID-19 pandemic. Our total global population is only about 7 billion. From these 7 billion, 2.7 billions are born or turned to be gamers worldwide in the year 2020. And then the next info also saying that, okay, from the year 2019 until 2020, the screen time on the mobile also increased about 12 times during this pandemic of this COVID-19. That means people are spending more times, okay, or compared to the previous, we spend 12 times more on screen time of the mobile device in the year 2019 until 2020. It's a very surprising record that occurred during this pandemic, okay, of this COVID-19. And I give you also this visual, okay, to chart to see how this particular mobile gaming growth, especially, okay, especially from in the year 2020, May 2020 onwards. You can see that, okay, you can see that, okay, after May, okay, 2020, okay, the development or the huge development of the mobile gaming, okay, you can see how the transformation of these okay, mobile gaming are developed or increased, especially in the year 2020. And these mobile gaming, as I mentioned to you previously, recorded about 85 billion in revenue at the end of year 2020. Okay. Okay, we go for the next on this item number 6. A billionaire wealth in general is up. Okay. In previous recession means 2008 recession. Billionaire were hit along with the rest of us. It took almost 3 years for these Forbes 400 richest people to recover their losses because of this 2008 Great Recession. But during this coronavirus recession in the year 2020, most billionaires have not lost their shirts. Well, I see. Instead, they have put on visual overcoat and cloth made of spin gold. Wow, that means their wealth are keep increasing. We can conclude that the rich people gotten richer than ever before, or we can say that the rich people become more richer and the poor people become more poorer. Okay, the world billionaires are worth an estimate of 11.4 trillion US dollar based on the Forbes calculation using their stock price on Friday, December 11th. That means this particular wealth are increased about 20% only in the year 2020. This particular increasing 1.9 trillion dollar, okay, actually is increase their wealth from 9.5 trillion from the year 2019. That means in 2019, the total wealth about 9.5 trillion. This 9.5 trillion increase 1.9 trillion become 11.4 trillion US dollar in the year 2020. That means in conclusion, the COVID-19 pandemic given more opportunity to the billionaire to increase the wealth. Okay, and the poorer people are highly affected during this pandemic of this COVID-19. Okay, and this particular chart also, I share with you how these billionaire grow their wealth by industries. Okay, those billionaire or those people that invested in technology and health industries, they're collecting a huge amount of wealth, or their wealth are increasing in huge compared to the other sectors. Okay, not only the technology and the health industrial and also the real estate also contribute slightly larger, but the least contribution came from financial service, material, entertainment, and media. That means those invested in technology and health industries, okay, the wealth are increased tremendously during this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, we go for the next item number 7. The big consumer, okay, I share up. Okay, see, the consumer economy has been innovating in two fronts, making a physical buying as frictionless as possible and making e-commerce as nimble as possible. COVID-19 broke old habit and speed up this evolution. That means in a simple or in a conclusion, we can say that due to this the COVID-19 pandemic, people are shift from the normal physical buying activities to the e-commerce. The innovation in real world shopping appear to be moving in the directions of cashierless checkouts. So far, the pandemic has been as accelerant in moving people away from cash and pin and swipe credit card in lagging market. See, once people get used with this convenience of contactless payment, this for sure will continue to use this method in the long run. There is one people are familiar with the e-commerce. We expect that in the future people will continue this practice whereby people will buy by using the e-commerce. That means the development of the e-commerce and the physical buying are highly affected. The physical buying will be less and people will go more on the e-commerce. The e-commerce company like hoping that the people will double with the online ordering during the pandemic months and will convert into the lifelong customers, especially when you look the Amazon now they increase the size of customers with the hope that these particular customers will continue with them in long run business strategy. And then the last one, we will discuss the big okay globalizations. Globalization played an important role during this particular pandemic. You see, trade was obviously impacted by the pandemic, and it's too early to say what the long run effect will be. One thing that is clear is that the information component of this globalization is becoming an even more important piece of the world economic puzzle. Some people they say that during this pandemic of this COVID-19, the globalization will be affected negatively. But not all the component in globalization are affected. The information component in globalization is still keep increasing, whereby the interconnection between the firm are still there, are still in the huge development process. You see, COVID-19 made a significant contribution to the end of a neoliberal economics and fragmentation of the international economic system. That means previously people assume that we have some free market practice deregulations. Okay, government should spend less and so on. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, these particular policies of economics are changed, especially the end of new liberal economics method. Now, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, the contributions of the government are hugely high. The government need to participate in market, and the fragmentation in international market are needed to change our economic system. You see the last point, the moving also from globalization to the regionalization. Globalization, we do the business along between the currencies, but during this pandemic of this COVID-19, the firms and the government are start to think on regionalization. That means you need to do your business locally. The pandemic has exposed the world risky dependence on vulnerable nodes on global supply chain. Like China, account about 50 to 70% of global demand of copper, iron, or nickel. Okay, that means China start to develop their own storage. That means we no need to depend to the other countries in terms of the resources, whereby when we need resources we need to go and get from other countries. Globalization, now the countries start to think regionalization. Why not we develop our own market? We could see the massive restructuring as production and sourcing move close to the end user and company are localized and regionalize their supply chain. Localize and regionalize is one of the new trend because of this coronavirus pandemic current days in the market. And then the last one, we go for this government intervention. You see, the government intervention to keep the economy afloat. We saw the introduction to massive stimulus, probably we call it as a life support packages to try to maintain the business and the employment. Government all over the world have again take over nominal private liabilities to even greater extent during the global financial crisis in 2008. Only the government can establish the safeguard in market, enact the necessary reform, and facilitate investment that are required for the future. As a result, for this COVID-19, the fine line between the monetary policy and the government debt management has become blurred. That means people are now confused with the monetary policy and the government management debt. Okay, policy makers and economists want the monetary financing of fiscal stimulus to become a stated policy. Also, we known as a helicopter money. We want people want the government help them like helicopter money, drop the money by using the helicopter. This particular method we call is to combine the idea from Keynesian and Friedman economics thoughts in market. In many developed countries, you see the word developed countries, the stimulus packages amount about 20% from their GDP. That means most developed countries, they spend 20%, 20%, the stimulus packages about 20% for the GDP, while their emerging economies, the emerging economies, they only spend 10% from their GDP. Okay, you can see from this next particular slide. You see, most developed countries like Japan, Italy, Germany, US, they spend a huge amount of money. The government spend huge amount of money to tackle this particular pandemic in their country compared to other countries. Other countries in general, they only spend about 10% of their GDP. GDP means their income to tackle this particular phenomena. Okay, whether it's effective or not effective, but at the end, the government must ensure, to support the people with some good or effective distribution of the fund into the market to support or to develop the market during this particular pandemic of this COVID-19. Okay, that means we have complete all the points for these economic challenges. Okay, so far we discussed the changing global economic landscape with this COVID-19. These issues are wide-ranging and not easy to tackle because it's still ongoing issues. However, by overcoming and learning from these particular changes, the global economy will be better positioned to achieve sustainable and balanced development. There one phrase in Japanese saying that Fuki Yuko, which refer to the attitude or accepting and adapting to change even while continue to uphold the basics that do not change. That means we must have the attitude to do the changes and accept the changes and adapt the changes in our life with the basic what we call principle that we need to not change. The recent pandemic has promoted us to rethink our view and actions. We have had, I have had the honor today to connect visually with the global audience, but in terms of the human interactions, the significant to face-to-face communication are unchanged. Now we are in the phase of changing, of identifying those of our views and actions that should not change and those that should in order to adopt the new environment. I look forward to exchanging views with you again face to face in the near future. Thank you for the kind intention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Navin. And now there's a we're going to have some the talk is just finished at here, and we're going to have the Q&A sessions. Let me share the slide first. Give me a second. Okay, so if you happen to have any questions, you can just drop it at the Q&A box at the Zoom, or you can drop it at the Facebook comments. And for those audience in the Zoom, you can refer back to a chat box that have forms for you to fill out, the evaluation forms. Just put your feedback and your comments into the forms so that we can have your suggestions for the webinar on this. So, Mr. Navin, so since we are waiting for the questions from the audience, maybe like there's something we'd like you to share, maybe like your comments. So just how you mentioned about the new opportunity of the career and the new development of career, right? Is it? So will this new opportunity going to help to rise up the country or the region's economics? Since we know that now the economics of the whole around the world is not so good, right?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Hello.
Yeah. How possible of the new opportunity career help to rise up the country's economics?
Okay, people need to adopt with the new kinds of this career. The career, will be hugely a change in all the sectors. Like especially in our education, we can see that, especially in our youth, we take our own example. We are so far, we are in the stage of this online teaching OTL for the nearly past 1 year. That means the career has been changed in every sectors, or the data also showing that people are now spending almost 60% working from home. 60% are working from home compared to the 40% in physical working environment. That means the adoptions of the working in home are highly what we call in practice in the current years. That means the firm also in future they will start to think. But this particular practice has been used by some of the companies like Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Oracle. These are particular companies, they use this particular method, in the past, whereby they allow their staff to work, from the home. But due to this pandemic of this COVID-19, and this particular practice has been wisely used currently in almost all the sectors. Okay, that's why I say almost 60% are occupying this particular method. That means in future we will see the huge transformation on this career perspective, or style of the career perspective, and so on. We will wait to see that. Thank you.
So what we can foresee is maybe like in the I3 sector or the e-commerce should be something that a new developer, is it?
Yeah, there will be a huge development in these e-commerce and these telemarketing, telecommunications, ICTs, artificial intelligence, and so on. There will be the huge transformation, the usage of these internet, IT tools, and so on will be highly needed in the market to support this development of these e-commerce, in the future.
How about something in traditional like the manufacturing and the constructions industry?
But the typical industries, for sure, they will look at some of the methods, to proceed their current practice of their manufacturing. but those particular industries that they able to adopt these industrial robot and service robot, for sure they will start to look at some of the alternative method to proceed their production activities, because most of the production activities are disrupted because of most of the companies, they don't have some contingency plan on this COVID-19, because of this COVID-19. But that's why most of the firms start to thinking how to solve these particular issues in the future. One of the best method is the usage of these AI and the robots. For sure, in future, this particular sector will increase, and the usage of the robot will develop in huge.
Okay, and in this case, right, is it, since we are talking about the e-commerce, the transportations, the typical industry, how about the something under the education's line or the mass communications, even like something the psychology areas?
No, in these educations, I think people also start to think broad less education system, whereby nowadays with this COVID-19, you don't need to travel. Previously, okay, people are allowed. Okay, education is one of the important component in terms of the revenue for some of the selected government, because people are traveling from one country to another country to study. But this pandemic given us some opportunity, or the universities are start to thinking about this online teaching as a practice in the long run. That means by psychologically, that means they are trying to adopt the new strategy in the teaching and learning process, okay, or in the mindset. The university also in the mindset, or putting this technology or practice this practice in the long run.
Okay.
Okay.
So as what we know is the transportation, the global transportation have been affected because of the COVID-19, right? Is it?
Yeah.
But the logistics is quite relying for the global transportations. How about the e-commerce on this? Will the e-commerce going to be affected as well?
The e-commerce, even though e-commerce will be affected, but for me, it's only will be very minimal affection in terms of this transportation. But before, during this pandemic, also we can see from the Malaysia perspective also, the transportation or the logistics, especially for these logistics, keep still in usage during this MCO and so on. Globally also, most of the governments, I think they only allow the logistics, but they will start to think how to overcome this virus. That's why most of the government in the process of invest their money to develop the vaccine, because the vaccine are strongly needed to bounce back their economy, okay, in the future. Okay, that's why when you see just now the slide that I share with you, compared to like AIDS almost with us about 39 years, with so far we don't have any proper vaccine and so on. But for this particular virus, the governments are willing to spend huge amount of money to develop the virus within the 11 months. That means this one show that the countries, most of the countries, they want this particular issue to be solved, okay, as fast as soon as in the future, so that they can bounce back their economy slowly in the future.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have received a questions from the chat box. In case if they are the MCO 2.0 coming, worst come to worst, will the Malaysia economics going to be affected?
For sure. If you ask me, the coronavirus actually, this particular pandemic give the huge negative impact to the developed countries. When the developed countries are hugely affected, the emerging countries like Malaysia, okay, emerging countries like Malaysia also will be highly affected, because we are depending on the developed countries. Our trade, our globalization are strongly related to the developed countries. We are eye on the developed countries. When the developed countries are affected negatively, that means the emerging countries like Malaysia will be highly affected for this because of this coming MCO2, if This one is applicable. But currently also the government also in the struggle to develop to bounce back our economy, but need the long run impact with a huge amount of debt. The government will spend a huge amount of money, but when they spend, in terms of the recovery, is still a long run to recover our markets. Yeah. That means in conclusion, I can say that we will highly affected.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you for Mr. Navin for all the sharings.
Okay, thank you.
So now we still got left like around 10 minutes to go. And if you still have any questions, you can just drop it at the Q&A box. And before that, before we end for the webinars, maybe like we can go through a video clips so that you can all to know more about the Utah, the campus of Utah.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance. Now's our time and we are tempting fate. Now's our time and we won't hesitate. So come on.
Okay, thank you for viewing. So this is the facility and the campus, the from the Kampra and the Sungai Long. So if you are interested to know more about the Utah facility or even something else from Utah, you can approach us later. Through we will show you the contact before we end of the webinar. So now please spare me around 5 minutes before we go to the end so that to introduce the foundation, the Center for Foundation Study for you. So again, thank you for Mr. Navin that have a great sharing with us. Mr. Navin, in fact, is from the Center of Foundation Study. So what is the foundations before we introduce about Center for Foundation Study? In fact, foundation is one kind of the preview that to get you ready for the bachelor degree. After you have completed the SPM, or for those you are going to sit for SPM in this February. After finish, you can consider the foundations to proceed to the bachelor degree. Foundation will spend you in around a year compared to the other like STPM or diploma, right? In fact, it's the faster short pathway for you to proceed to the bachelor. After that, there can be the master or the PhD. It depends on your interest. Okay, so under the Center for Foundation Study, we do have a foundation in art and foundation in science. As mentioned in the beginning, we have the Center for Foundation Study at Kampar and Sungai campus. You can consider to proceed to the foundation at both the campuses either. As shown you in the slide, we have 4 different streams under the foundation in art and foundation in science. First, let me go through a wide streams. If you are interested into the business related bachelor degree, after you've been enrolled, the admission will assign you to the accountancy and management streams. And if you're interested to the Chinese studies, the social science, or the graphic design, the creative design relevance degree, after you enroll to the foundations, the admission will assign you to the X streams, the art and social science streams. For the foundation in science, if you're interested to the bio-related bachelor degree, then you will be under the biological science streams. And if you're interested to the IT, engineering, mathematics, relevance degree, you will be enrolled to the physical science streams, the engineering science or the technological science. This is what we're offering for the foundations. So, this is the next coming the webinars. So for your information, so it'll be next Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. will be the different topic, the effect of the COVID-19, the Malaysian economics perspective 2021. So this is the sharing from our faculty of art, of accountancy and the management. Lastly, this is our contact. So as mentioned just in the beginning, the this webinar will share live to our Facebook, and this is our Facebook platform, the UTAR for you. So and later, also after the webinar is end, the recorded versions we're going to upload to our website and also to the Facebook. If you have any further questions regarding to the webinars or any other further inquiry about the programs, the studies, you can contact us through the Facebook or the WhatsApp, even the WeChat. And in the meantime, we have the live chat service. You can visit to our website, the study.utar.edu.my or the study.utar.edu.my/cn to have the little chit chat with us through the live chat. The live chat service is from Monday to Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our colleague will always ready to serve you with the live chat. So in other, you can send email to us as well. This is our email. So that's all today. Thank you for joining us with the webinar, and see you again at the next webinar. Thank you. And Mr. Navin, again, thank you for your sharing.
Thank you for Mr. Tam. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Have a nice day to you all. See you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.